Right, so today we're here to teach you how to create a video, and in this case it's going to be an information video. So let's say your teacher has asked you to create a video which will show you how to perform, say for example, a first aid procedure. The first thing before we create any video, it doesn't matter what type of video it is we have to carefully plan it. And in the case of an information video, what we want you to do is to write a script. A script means that you're going to not have to think about what the words are as you're actually doing the video. And it gives you the opportunity potentially to read the script and then be able to put your video from there. So once you've got your script done, then you can start thinking about what are the visual images that you need to help explain the idea that you're explaining. So for example, if someone's broken their arm, you're probably going to want some photos or some video as people actually get their arm wrapped up in a bandage. You might want to have some shots of the people's faces as you do it so that you can clearly see what it is that you're explaining. The most important thing is that the words that you're saying here should match with the pictures that you're showing on the screen. And if the two match together, you'll give people a lot better chance of understanding what you're talking about. So while I have a pretty trendy new iPhone, you don't need to have one of these to be able to shoot a video on it. In fact, an old iPhone 4 or a Galaxy S3 or anything of that vintage will do a pretty good job because most of them could shoot at high definition video back then. So long as you set it up and use it well, you can do a great job. You may want to consider using a video camera if your parents actually have access to one of them as well. When you are filming a video, you really want to only ever use your camera this way. Never shoot it that way, because the screens that people are going to be watching it on look like this. And so when you shoot like this, you're only using a really small section of the screen. Always shoot with your camera in the landscape format, which is the way 99% of cameras work. But if you're using a mobile phone, sometimes you get tempted to do this, and I really want to discourage you from doing that. That annoys teachers and it annoys people watching it all over the world. So, once you've actually got your script, what I recommend you do is you get your camera in a nice steady way and then you start talking to it to record it. One of the things a lot of people forget about is sound. If you've got a noisy room at all, make sure you shut the doors. Sometimes it's even better to turn off the air conditioning so that you've got a nice clean sound. Today we're going to assume that we're going to be using mobile phones for our filming. So when it comes to this, you could simply sit here with your mobile phone in one hand and your script here, and you could read a lot of it. It might be great if somebody could hold it for you nice and still as you read it, but you don't even have to look at the camera for the majority of it. You could just be looking at the camera at the start, and then after that you could be just reading and talking to this camera here just to record the audio. So when you're actually filming like this, obviously if you've got a real camera and you can use a tripod, that's great. But quite often you don't, and you've got a situation like this. So one of the things I naturally do is I put my camera out nice and flat on my hand and I spread my legs a little bit wider so I'm almost like a tripod, and that gives me a steadier base to work from. Then once you've done your filming and you've got all your original stuff, then we want to go into iMovie or whatever program it is that you're going to be using to put your video together. What we want to do now is take the footage that we've shot on our camera and get it into the computer. I'm using iMovie, but it should apply to most programs like this. I've got my cable and I'm going to hook it in, and then I'm going to hook it into a USB port. Once I've hooked this in on the iPhone, it now says, do I trust this computer? And I need to press trust. And once I've done that, if I press here to import, it will actually pop up with my phone and will allow me to come in here and grab footage that I've used to import into my computer. So we're now in iMovie and we want to be able to bring in all our footage and start editing together. I'm going to go create a new project and go movie. If I've got my iPhone connected up to here, it will appear when I press import, and it'll show me a whole lot of different parts here. So I have some memory cards I've got here on my iPhone, and I could come in here and click some of the clips that I want to import, In this case, I'm going to grab some of the clips from this actual training video that you're watching right now. I'm going to grab that there, and I'm going to bring them in here. Then I can grab these clips and say how much of them that I actually want. I can watch them over here and press play. And then I can grab them and drag them down onto the bottom. So I can grab the sections that I want to be able to use and add them up there. And then sometimes I'm also going to want to have some pictures of some shots that I'm doing, some demonstrations, such as like this. And I can grab this and drag it down and place it above. And when I place it above and I drag my playhead to here, you'll see that it's got me speaking right up until here, where when I get to the point of my video, it cuts away and shows that there. And I can drop the audio down here, so I don't hear the video of what we traditionally call B-roll, because it's the second line. And under here I'm still talking and I'm showing the demos that I'm working on there. There are some other great tools up here that we can use to be able to add color balance, correction, cropping and stabilization, and that's a great way of actually adding a lot of those in. Over here there's also the option to go and bring in some music. And then also titles, and there's a whole lot of different types of titles. You can bring in a title at the start, just go grab that title and drop that in right at the beginning, so it happens just on a black background. My great movie. So it appears by itself, or you can grab this sort of stuff and layer it above, so that when you put the playhead here, you'll see that the text appears in front of me instead of by itself. A whole lot of different ones. You can see there's gravity. It's a whole lot of very trendy ones. Sometimes the simplest are the best, but other times grabbing the other ones can be quite handy. And basically when you're finished with that, you'll be able to share your project, and you can share it straight to YouTube using email addresses and passwords. You can just create a file and then you could put that straight into your Google Drive. Some things you want to think about with a video is, do you actually really want to put some sound in there? If you're going to put some sound or say some music in the background, make sure that it helps and doesn't hinder people understanding it. In the end, get mum and dad to watch your video and make sure they understand what it is you're trying to teach. Choosing to have some music like this might sound really cool, but you might have trouble actually hearing what someone's saying. Consider putting some text on the screen which helps people understand what you're trying to explain. Some people are good at hearing things, some people are good at seeing things, but when we bring them together that makes it work even better. So consider having some text on the screen that shows you the key points as you're going along. When you've finished your video, make sure that you've spent the time and you've watched it back, that people think that it's actually explaining what you need it to explain. And so once that's complete, you can then use YouTube to publish that video so people can see it. If you don't want to publish your work to YouTube, you can choose to just publish the video to an MP4 and put it inside your Google Drive folder for the subject that you're doing this work for. And so once it's in there, the teacher should be able to see it and be able to watch it and see your work.